Pokemon cards are continuously changing, and what was once considered a niche hobby a few years back has now grown into something global, and Pokemon cards are bringing people together from every corner of the world. Now, Pokemon cards are very powerful because they've turned childhood memories into something very real and tangible, and something you can connect with, and they hold value. And that's why Pokemon is just so strong, especially in the collectible world. It just gives us a way to reconnect with our childhood in a very tangible and meaningful way. And it's kind of crazy because when I collected Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, and I played all those games growing up, I never really thought how useful some of that information would be, because in the world today, with how popular collectibles are, it's actually become super useful info. I'm actually really grateful to my parents, honestly, because even though when they saw me playing Pokemon as a kid or collecting cards, they never really dismissed it as a waste of time, which is really cool to see, especially now that I'm thinking about it, because back then, yeah, people have definitely more open minds now about gaming and all that. But my parents were always like, they were really happy to see me so passionate about something. And I think that's a big reason why this channel also has made it to some level of success as well, because that was actually really respected for me as a kid, and it wasn't squished by my parents, and they didn't see me as like, oh, what are you doing, Phil? Like you're just so into this. They actually really thought it was really cool that I was so into collecting cards and so into playing Pokemon and all that. And yeah, just a big shout out to my parents, because they never really put me down for any of that. And that's actually really kind of made this channel become so successful, because I have so much of that knowledge and that information that's been stored within me as a kid. It's incredible. Though, you know, in saying that, Pokemon cards have just changed tremendously as well, because in the last year, Pokemon cards have completely shifted. And the thing is, right now, it's kind of wondering what's going to happen in the future. And that's why in this video, I do want to go over the 5 predictions that I have that I think will shape Pokemon investing and Pokemon collecting. And I will explain all the reasoning behind my process in this video. So the first prediction that I have is that the condition price gap will become extreme. Now, right now, the condition price gaps are pretty big, but I'm actually predicting that this will get to much bigger levels. So if you're wondering what condition price gaps are, it's essentially the price premiums for perfectly graded cards versus PSA 9s and so forth. Though honestly, I'm expecting this area to become even bigger, both for pristine cards and PSA 10s, because I do think that right now collectors are so hyper focused on condition, and honestly, I don't see this area slowing down. I mean, real talk, if I have to be really honest with you, and this is like, I'm gonna just let you know, personally, PSA 9s and PSA 10, if they were out of the slab, most of us would have a very difficult time seeing the differences. Sometimes you will notice that PSA 9 center ink is definitely a little bit off, but honestly, I've got some PSA 9 cards that I cannot believe that they didn't come back as a PSA 10. Now, the differences between a PSA 10 and a black label are so minuscule. At this point, you're not really, and collectors are not really paying any more for that bump up in quality as much as they're paying for that premium or that unique feel of having it in a black label or having that real pristine grade. And we're even seeing this now with cert numbers. Like with PSA 10s, if a card has a more recent cert number, it will get a bigger price increase from an older cert number. I get that if the PSA if it's an old PSA slab, the classic slab, I do understand that. But in terms of this recent cert stuff, it is crazy, right? I mean, the market has really taken a big shift. And these changes are happening across the board, and it does seem it's going to get bigger. Now, another prediction that I have is that master sets will become very much more rare for collectors to even try to do, because as it stands, master sets are already super difficult. Though you do have certain collectors who will try to attempt them, though I think with modern collecting, the era of the master set will become very, very rare. I mean, an obvious example of this is Ascended Heroes. With the amount of special illustration rares and illustration rares in the set and the prices of them, I'm not sure how many people are even gonna bother to attempt that. So the process of even getting started with a master set like that just becomes a very hard task to even bother. And it's really interesting because I do remember in the Sword and Shield era, master set collecting was much, much more common. And people will say now, hey, I'm trying to collect this for my master set, but you do get your roadblocks when it comes to the special illustration rares, or that's what I've noticed as well. Like, I do remember I was even like, oh, am I gonna, what's the strategy that you take? I was thinking maybe I should start with the most expensive and work my way down, which is definitely the way you probably should do it. But then you want your quick wins, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna going to get this Arbok full art because I don't have that, and that was like a $5 card or a $6 card, and I'd be trying to just do those quick wins. But then what happens is they don't ever bother getting the special illustration rares or the cards that are worth over 100 or 200 or 300 US. People just think, hey, you know what? I'm not going to even bother with that. And I think that is what we're seeing now, and the era of master set collecting is definitely going to pass. Now, also, Pokemon cards are definitely changing, but there's also new tools popping up, and that's why I do want to talk about today's video sponsor, Double Holo. Now, at its core, Double Holo is a marketplace where collectors can buy and sell cards, and right now, it's one of the most competitive platforms out there with just a 4.9% platform fee. Now, a really cool feature on Double Holo is that you can set preset offers on specific cards. If a seller's happy with it, they can accept, and the deal is done. Now, if you do upgrade to the premium version, you do unlock some very good features. Now, a personal favorite of mine is the AI pick section. Here it uses a multi-factor AI analysis and shows you the top 10 cards to look out for versus the top 10 cards to avoid. Now, another premium feature is the pack value tool. This tool shows you the expected value, or the EV, of opening up a booster pack versus the actual market price. Now, what's so awesome, if you do want to try out any of the premium features, you can actually get a 30% discount off your first month. You can find all the links to Double Holo in the video's description. A big thanks to them for supporting the channel. Now let's jump back into this video. Now, another prediction is that top tier cards will rise tremendously, though other cards without the huge spotlight won't be able to maintain in the market. So an example of the recent top tier cards that we got the Mega Charizard X or the Mega Gengar from Ascended Heroes. Now these are very rare and they're very much in the spotlight, but then you've got cards that are not that much in the spotlight, but they're still quite rare, such as the Hydreigon Special Illustration Rare from Surging Sparks or the Serperior SIR from Black Bolt. Now I do actually think that we're going to see in the market that these special illustration rares, like the ones that I just mentioned that are a little bit out of the spotlight, they just won't be able to ever really do any damage in the market with big price spikes or anything because there's just too many at play. Now we have these massive price discrepancies with the top chase cards, your Bubble Mew, your Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, your Mega Charizard, your Mega Gengar. These are the top cards, and then you have your other cards that are out of the spotlight and they probably won't ever be able to really climb to any high prices. And in terms of market corrections or cards that you are able to add to your collection, I do believe that there will be a lot of special illustration rares on the market in the coming years, this year, probably at the end of this year, and even in the next few years, that are pretty affordable that a lot of collectors don't want. Now, I just want to say, if you are a first timer and you have been enjoying the video, I want to say hi and welcome. My name's Phil and I've been making content about Pokemon cards for a few years now. Definitely feel free to subscribe for consistent content. It's always amazing seeing new people on the channel. Now, another prediction that I have is that there will be generation themed sets and they're going to become a bit of a staple in the series of Pokemon collecting. Now, I have a personal feeling that they're going to really expand with this idea. We've seen this with Pokemon 151. We've seen this with Black Bolt and White Flare for Generation 5. And I do think that it is something that will come for every single generation. I just feel that there's so much opportunity with generation themed sets. Obviously, we all know the success of 151. You don't even have to worry about that. Everyone understands that. But then even like Black Bolt, White Flare, probably if you did kind of look at one of the least popular generations, it probably is Generation 5. It's up there, right? In fact, I think out of every single Pokemon generation, Gen 5 actually has the weakest game sales. And there's a lot of reasons for that. For a lot of the audience that grew up with Pokemon, when they became teenagers and they were a little bit younger adults when Generation 5 came out, and it didn't really stick that much with younger audiences until Generation 6 came out, and then that kind of got reintroduced and things worked out a bit better then. But in saying that, if you do have a Generation 2 set, if you do have a Gen 3 set, a Gen 8 set, these will bring big audiences and there will be a lot of nostalgia here. So I just feel like it's a real obvious play, and I do feel that that will be something that comes out, whether it's this year or throughout the next few years. We will see those generation theme sets. Now also, if you do want to keep up to date with the Pokemon community, a really good resource is my channel's Discord. We have over 11,000 members. You can post photos of your cards that you want advice on to get graded. You can also connect with the broader Pokemon community. Definitely feel free to join the Discord. The server invite is in the video's description. Now, another prediction I have is that the market will begin rewarding patience more than ever. Now, I'm not just talking about sealed investing and sealed Pokemon products going up, but I do think that one of the big things that I've noticed, especially in the last year is that time horizon has become very small for people. People, if collectors, if they're buying a set or if they're purchasing Pokemon cards for their master sets or whatever they're doing, like people are just thinking, oh, if I bought it in April of this year, I'm already expecting it by July that there's some movement. But no, that's not always how it's going to happen. We've just been in a big hype wave, and that's kind of caused, and a lot of people are expecting that. And if those quick rises don't keep happening, because they have been happening for quite a long time, but if people are buying PSA 10 cards or sealed product, then they're expecting that if I bought it in 3 months' time, it's already going to double in price. That will be a big eye-opening experience for a lot of people, and I think that they're going to start selling. Though the people that have a lot of patience will be rewarded, and something that I'm really predicting is that there's going to be a lot more people that start actually trying selling quickly because they're not getting those rewards as quick as they want. Like if you look at Phantasmal Flames, if you bought that in November of last year, you're already up by a lot if you bought it at retail price. That really shouldn't be happening that quickly. If we look at anything before this whole Pokemon boom, you would start seeing the growth probably somewhere around 2 years, sometimes even 3-4 years down the line. Though now people are expecting it straight away. Same with Ascended Heroes, they're already expecting that, hey, in a few months it's gonna grow. So I do think that we will see some people sell because they're not happy with it, but it just depends as well because the Pokemon market is growing quicker than ever. And there's so many people entering, but so many more opportunities are coming about as well. Though with all these predictions, I think Pokemon investing and Pokemon collecting as a whole has changed. Though if I started collecting Pokemon cards today, it would honestly be a completely different game. And if you are wondering how I'd start collecting Pokemon if I did start from scratch today, I do actually reveal that in this video on screen here. This was a really fun video to make as I kind of went through the process of how I would begin my journey if I started all over again today. Click the video that's appearing on screen. Really appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.